Hello again, this is John Lundquist, Paladin Academy. This is Algebra 2, Unit 9-3, completing the square. And I'm going to try to explain this the best I can about how we do this. So basically, we have a quadratic equation, x squared plus bx plus c equals 0, where b and c are constants or numbers. And we want to get this thing we want to get it into a square form. We want to get into a multiplication form with a square on it, because the minute I get a square, I can now solve for x. If I have x squared equals 4, I can solve for x by using the square root, right? Because the square root cancels a square, and I get x, and then I get plus and minus 2. And this is plus and minus 2 because x can be a plus or a minus. Because I square a minus, I get a plus. So that's the technique. Remember, we've solved many radical squared. We've solved squares by doing the radical. Well, how do I get this into this form? And that's what we call completing the square. I want this guy to be an expression squared. And finding what c is referred to as completing the square. So I'm going, and turns out, like, let's take an example like this one. Let's take this. X squared plus 6x plus, I don't know what it is. But I want to make it a square, equals 0, right? So it turns out the method for finding the square is you take this number, this middle number, you divide it by 2, this number, the coefficient of x, second term, divide it by 2, you square it, and you get c. That's what c is going to be. That's completing the square. And then what you can do then is make a expression squared, and it turns out that this a part right here, the number you put into the parentheses, turns out to be this middle number divided by 2. So you take, notice that 6 divided by 2 is 3, right? That's the middle side. That turns out to be this number right here. And the c turns out to be the middle number divided by 2 squared. So let's just take an example of that. Let's take this one. Let's set this equal to 0, let's say. And I want to find c. So the method is, I'm going to take 4 divided by 2, square it, right? That's what it says here. Take the middle number divided by 2, square it. 4 divided by 2 is 2. 2 squared is 4. So, 4. So now I get x squared plus 4x plus 4 equals 0. And the middle number is 2, right? This number. And that's going to be the part that's I put in here, squared. And that's equal to 0. And guess what? That's my goal, right? This is my goal right here. And if I take x plus 2, so I put this as 4 now, right? So if I take this and I multiply it, I will get this, x squared plus 4x plus 4. Because I get x squared, and then I get this guy. I mean, this has been 2. I'm sorry, this is supposed to be 2. I'm screwed up. It was 2 here, right? Yeah. So I got to put 2 there. X squared plus 2x plus 2x plus 4. And then this guy is here. And then I get x squared plus 4x plus 4, right? So I've completed the square, and now I can find that I know that x is going to be minus 2. Because what if I put minus 2 in here, I get minus 2 plus 2 is 0. 0 squared is 0. And now I've found x, which is my goal. Okay. So let's complete the square on this one. So I'm going to take 5. This is what you're going to do in your worksheet. I want to find C, right? So I take 5 divided by 2. This is C, and I square it, right? I take the middle term, this guy, B. B is here, divided by 2, and I square it. Well, I have to take 5. Oh, and then I have to divide it by 2. I'm sorry. So 5 divided by 2 divided by 2. See that? 5 divided by 2, and I divided by 2, right? Well, that's a problem. So I got to get rid of this bottom 2. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply it by 1/2. Multiply the top and the bottom by 1/2, because this, I can put this over 1, and guess what? This cancels. And so it turns out that dividing by 2 is the same as multiplying by 1/2. So 5 over 2 is the same thing as multiplying by 1 over 2. See that? This 2 cancels, and now this divide by 2 is the same as this multiply. So I get 5 over 4. See that? 5 times 1 is that. 2 times 2 is 4. And then I square it, right? This is squared, right? This is square here. So what I can do then is I can what we call, this square can attach to both of these. So I can get this. So I get 5 squared, 25 over 16. So C is 25 over 16. And that, I've completed the square. And I could write the equation, or write the square out. The square now, remember, was I think I can do this. So I get M plus, remember, the A that goes here is the middle thing. Remember, that was 5 divided by 2 times 1/2, which is 5/4. 5/4 squared. And that's equal to the M squared plus 5 over 2 M plus 25 over 16. And that's it. I've made a square out of this guy. That was the technique. Okay, one more example, and then I think that'll do it. And this is now, I've given everything. I'm just doing another example. I've given everything, all the theory that there is. So now we're just practicing again. So I'm going to take x squared plus 3/4 x plus c equals 0. And I want to find c. Okay, so c is, I'm going to complete the square. So c is going to be 3/4 times 1/2. Ugh, I hate that 4. 3/4 times 1/2. Remember, 1/2 timesing by 1/2 is the same as dividing by 2. And I square it. So I get 3 times 1 is 3, and 4 times 2 is 8 squared. And then I can distribute the square to both these. I get 9 over 64, right? Okay, now I'm done. This is A, right? And this is C in this formula, right? Well, here's C, is this guy. So I can say then x squared plus 3/4 x plus 9 over 64 is equal to the square of x plus 3/8. This is A, right? A right here, 3/8 squared is equal to 0. Okay, well, now I can square root both sides. That cancels, and I get x plus 3/8 is equal to 0. I subtract 3/8 from both sides. 3/8 from both sides, and I get x equals minus 3/8. And that's it. That's how you do it. But mainly, in this exercise, you're just going to find this guy. They'll ask you to complete the square, which is this part right here, mainly. But we'll do some more stuff on this later. Good luck.